Dara, a beautiful 19-year-old girl, with dreams as bright as her smile, was hesitant about going to a birthday party where Kaya, her best friend, invited her. She had insisted she come along, promising a night of fun and celebration. Trusting Kaya, and with her stepmother's consent, Dara put on Kaya's prepared dress and attended the party. She was uncomfortable in the dress Kaya had provided her. And, with everyone staring at her, she could hardly relax at the party. Dara was speaking with Kaya when she attempted to excuse herself, wanting to go home. Suddenly, Eze appeared in front of her and questioned Kaya about who she was. She was introduced by Kaya as her best friend. Then Eze turned to face Kaya and whispered something in her ear. He then gave Dara a glance that made her feel somehow more uncomfortable than she already was, before he turned over and went back cheering with his friends. Since then, even while he was occupied attending to his visitors, Eze did not stop staring at her. The party was in full swing when Kaya whispered in Dara's ear, suggesting they explore the house. "This house is as big as a palace. You have to see how beautiful it is," she said. Dara, hesitant but curious, followed Kaya upstairs. Before she knew it, Kaya pushed her into a bedroom and locked the door. She begged Kaya to open the door, thinking at first that it was a prank. After some time, panic set in as she realized she was trapped. Shortly after, Eze, wasted from the party, entered the room, finding Dara there. She looked at him smiling with hope. But as he gave her a menacing smile filled with disdain, her enthusiasm vanished. She pushed him away as he got close to her and rushed to the door, only to find it locked. Trying not to cry, she asked Eze to open the door or she might scream otherwise. Surprised by her confidence, Eze responded, telling her to calm down since he only wanted to talk to her and get to know her. In reply, she proposed that they go out and discuss where everyone else is, still attempting to maintain her calm. Rather, Eze quickly moved in her direction, grabbing hold of her, and attempted to kiss her. She cried out in terror, pushing him aside, and rushed to the door, hitting loudly and screaming for help. Unfortunately, the loud music and the cheering at the party made it impossible for her to be heard. The next morning, the scene was chaotic. Both families had gathered, and accusations flew. Taking an arrogant look, Eze denied any wrongdoing, claiming Dara had seduced him while he was drunk. Kaya supported him, betraying Dara, her best friend, in the most terrible way possible. Dara's father, furious and feeling dishonored, demanded that Eze marry his daughter to save their family's pride. Dara's stepmother saw this as a chance to get rid of her. She agreed with his choice, leaving Dara to deal with her unexpected marriage to a stranger she detested. Eze's parents hesitantly accepted the marriage proposal because they were aware of their son's careless behavior. However, they saw it as an opportunity to settle him down. The wedding was arranged hastily, and Dara found herself in a situation she never imagined. She stood at the altar, her heart heavy with sadness and betrayal, while Eze's face showed nothing but arrogance. Dara's father, unaware of the full extent of her suffering, hoped the marriage would bring stability. Married life was a nightmare for Dara. Eze treated her with disdain, making her do house chores alongside the servants. She scrubbed floors and cleaned rooms, tasks far beneath her status as his wife. Eze, meanwhile, continued to live a bachelor life as if he was not married, ignoring Dara's presence. She held on to her dignity and took comfort in the few gestures of generosity that Eze's parents would occasionally show her. Every day was a struggle for Dara. Eze's coldness and cruel behavior were relentless. He taunted her, making her feel like an outsider in her own home. Dara spent her days doing chores, her nights filled with loneliness and tears. She missed her old life, the warmth of her family, and the comfort of her friends. She questioned herself, wondering what she had done to deserve such a terrible betrayal, as she thought about Kaya and how they had once been like sisters. Eze's friends would visit often, treating Dero with disrespect. They laughed at her, mocking her situation, while Eze did nothing to stop them. She approached him one day, demanding to know what she had done to merit such treatment, knowing that he was the reason for this forced marriage and that she detested him as much as he had never intended to be engaged in this marriage. He seemed to enjoy her discomfort, reveling in her misery. Dero kept her head high, refusing to let them see her pain. She found small ways to cope, like tending to a small garden she started in the backyard. Eze's parents, when they visited, showed some concern for Dero. They noticed the way Eze treated her and tried to provide their support. They would encourage Eze to mature and assume responsibility for his home. While they spoke kindly to Dero, bringing small gifts and words of encouragement. But their visits were infrequent, and Dero had to rely on her inner strength to endure the daily hardships. The atmosphere in the house changed when Eze's cousin, Chike, came to stay. Chike was kind-hearted and respectful, a stark contrast to Eze. He saw Dero's condition and made an effort to befriend her. He helped her with chores and spent time talking to her, providing a sort of peace in her life despite everything being terrible. Eze got annoyed with Chike. He was not used to seeing anyone treat Dero with kindness. Eze's jealousy started to grow as he watched Chike and Dero grow closer. He didn't like the attention Dero was getting, nor did he appreciate Chike's interference in his household. This new dynamic created tension, but also a shift in Eze's behavior. Dero found solace in Chike's company. He listened to her, made her laugh, and treated her with the respect she deserved. For the first time since her marriage, she felt valued. Chike's kindness rekindled a small hope in her heart, making her believe that not all was lost. But she remained cautious, knowing how unpredictable Eze could be. Eze's jealousy grew day by day. He began to notice every interaction between Dero and Chike, his blood boiling with each laugh they shared. He couldn't understand why Chike's kindness towards Dero bothered him so much, but it did. He started to monitor their interactions, his eyes always following them around the house. Chike, unaware of the storm brewing within Eze, continued to support Dero. He encouraged her to pursue her interests and stand up for herself. This newfound confidence in Dero didn't go unnoticed. She began to smile more, her spirit slowly healing from the terrible torment she had endured. She maintained her small garden, and it flourished, much like the dedication she demonstrated. The family was tense. Eze's parents noticed the change in their son but didn't fully understand it. They were pleased to see Dero happier but worried about the growing tension between Eze and Chike that could be felt even while they were dining. Eze's possessiveness over Dero was becoming more apparent, and they feared what might happen if it escalated further. Eze's jealousy turned into possessiveness. He would order her around every time he saw her speaking to Chika. Sometimes holding her hand by force and walking away with her. And when Chika, his cousin, would try to say something, "Hey, Eze, please give her a break, can't you see how Dero looks exhausted?" He would cut him short, "Please Chika, mind your own business, she is my wife and not yours. I can call her anytime I want. And if you want the company of a woman, go get yourself one elsewhere, not here." After that, he began to set strict rules for Dero, dictating what she could wear and who she could talk to. He forbade her from wearing short dresses and from speaking to any male friends, even those from her past. Eze's controlling nature was suffocating, but Dero complied, hoping to avoid further conflict. Social events became a nightmare for Dero. Eze would stay close, ensuring no one got too close to her. His eyes followed her every move, and any interaction with another man was met with anger later. Eze's behavior was confusing to Dero, his sudden interest and possessiveness were in stark contrast to his previous indifference. Despite the growing tension, Dero found small ways to assert her independence. She continued to tend her garden and spend time with Chike, albeit cautiously. She knew Eze's temper was unpredictable, but she refused to let him completely control her life. Her strength and resilience began to shine through, even in the face of Eze's possessiveness. Eze's possessiveness turned physical. He started to force kisses on Dero, declaring that she was his and no one else could touch her. These forced displays of affection were confusing and terrifying for Dero. She didn't understand why Eze, who had treated her with such disdain, was now acting so possessive and controlling. Dero's life became even more challenging. Eze had unpredictable behavior. One moment he was cruel, the next he was forcefully affectionate. Dero didn't know how to navigate this new dynamic. She tried to avoid him as much as possible, focusing on her garden and the small moments of peace she could find. Chike noticed the change in Eze and grew concerned for Dero. He continued to support her, offering a listening ear and a comforting presence. His kindness was a stark contrast to Eze's behavior, and Dero found herself relying on Chike more and more. But the tension in the household was palpable, and everyone was aware of it. As a result of Eze's oppressive behavior, one day, questioning Dero about why she waited so long to return from the market, they argued over a trivial matter. The situation reached a breaking point. She lost her temper, asking him to leave her alone. Eze got upset of her boldness and insolence, followed her and held her against the wall. She was asked to apologize for her impudence, but she refused. "Why would you expect me to say sorry?" she questioned. "Have you ever expressed regret to me for all the abuse you have inflicted upon me each and every day in this house, Eze? As if I am to blame for our current situation," she continued. Furious, unsure of what to say, Eze pushed her hard away, breaking her heart as she fell on the ground and cried with pain and distress. After that, Eze caught Chike comforting Dero. His anger exploded, and he confronted Chike, accusing him of seducing his wife. The argument was intense, with both men exchanging heated words. Dero, caught in the middle, felt the weight of their conflict crushing her. Chike tried to reason with Eze, explaining that he was only trying to help Dero. But Eze's jealousy and possessiveness blinded him to reason. He saw Chike's kindness as a threat, and his anger only grew. The confrontation ended with Eze demanding that Chike leave the house, further isolating Dero from her only source of support. The household was in turmoil. Eze's parents, aware of the confrontation, tried to mediate but found themselves at a loss. They could see the pain and confusion in Dero's eyes, but Eze's stubbornness made it difficult to reach a resolution. The tension was unbearable, and Dero felt more alone than ever. With Chike gone, Dero's life became even more difficult. Eze's possessiveness intensified, and he became more controlling. But amidst the darkness, Dero found small rays of hope. She continued to tend her garden, finding solace in the growth of her plants. Each new bloom was a reminder that life could still flourish even in the harshest conditions. Eze's parents, sensing Dero's hopelessness, tried to offer support. They spoke to Eze, urging him to treat Dero with kindness and respect. Their words fell on deaf ears, but they didn't give up. They continued to visit, bringing small gifts and offering words of encouragement to Dero. Their support, though limited, was a lifeline for her. Dero's resilience was remarkable. Despite the challenges, she refused to let Eze's behavior break her spirit. She found strength in small acts of defiance, like wearing a dress she loved or sneaking out to visit a friend. These moments of rebellion were her way of reclaiming her independence and asserting her worth. One evening, she found Eze waiting for her as she got back from a friend. "Dero, where are you coming from?" he asked impatiently, trying to remain calm. "Did you ever told me where you go?" she replied. He instantly got mad at her for challenging him. "Okay, since you have decided to challenge me, I will show you who is the man in this house," he said. "Oh, so, what are you going to do? Beat me? Because that's the only thing you haven't done yet," she challenged him again. In one quick move, he grabbed her arm, pulled her toward the room and threw her inside, saying, "You will stay in this room until you agree to abide to my rules in this house." Eze brought her food on a tray the following day, but she wouldn't look at him or take a bite. With all of her power, she pushed him as she rose up and escaped the room, enraged. Eze's eyes darkened with rage as he looked at the food that fell to the ground. Eze chased after Diarra. As she was just about to open the gate, he gave his gateman this order: "Do not even dare to unlock that gate." Perplexed, the gatekeeper pitted Diarra. She hurried back into the house and attempted to lock herself behind her room's door. Eze was able to apprehend her in a split second. She broke out in tears when she saw him coming closer as he was taking out his belt to hit her. Desperate, she started begging him, "Please, don't do that. Leave me alone. I beg you, Eze, you have already ruined enough of my life. Please, don't hurt me," she continued. "Even though you know that you tricked me with Kaya's help on your birthday night. Yet, you continue to deny that you had taken advantage of me. Both you and Kaya damaged my reputation and turned my father against me. In the name of God, I beg you, please, please, just leave me alone. Please don't hurt me, Eze, leave me please. Please." She was begging him while trying to stop him from hitting her. Then, she broke down in tears and knelt in front of him. Eze's rage quickly gave way to grief. He recalled every detail of that evening as though he were waking up from a dream. He remembered telling Kaya, one of his friend's girlfriends, that he wanted Diarra to be his that night at any cost when he saw them together. He recalled how stunning Diarra looked the first time he saw her. How her beauty captured his attention to the point that he didn't want to let her go and lose the chance to get to know her. It's true that he had some alcohol that evening, but not to the point where he lost memory of the entire event. "Look, sir. Please don't touch me." He remembered Diarra pleading with him. "I have no idea of who you are, or what you want, but even if this is a joke you pulled on with Kaya, it is not funny to me. Please move aside and allow me to go out," she continued, this time, in panic. She begged, but Eze recalled not paying attention. Her beauty had fascinated him to the point that he didn't want to let her go. "Listen, hey." Holding her against her will, he continued, "I just want to get to know you, okay? Please have a seat." "No. Please let me go, I don't want," she answered. Then, he remembered, his selfishness blinding him, he dragged her violently to the bed in spite of her protest and tries to resist. No woman deserves such treatment. It made him feel like a total coward. He now bitterly regrets everything. His face was buried with humiliation as he suddenly realized the seriousness of what he had done. That fateful night, he took advantage of her. He destroyed the life of an innocent girl and put false accusations on her but treated her as if she was the guilty one. Suddenly, he found himself on the floor next to Diarra, unsure whether to let her weep herself to tears or to keep her in his arms. When he moved forward to hold her, she panicked and tried to pull away when he took her in his arm, but he held her closer and looking into her eyes, he reassured her not to worry, saying, "I just want to say that I am very sorry, Diarra. I just want to hold you tight for a moment and let you feel how sorry I am. Please, I wish I was sober that night. I wish I had met you under other circumstances." She laid in his embrace and they remained like that for a little while. He helped her get into bed, covered her with a blanket, and quietly watched her for a moment. When he sensed that she had calmed down, he left the room. Eze and Diarra were able to have a better cohabitation after that incident. One day, his two friends followed Diarra into the kitchen shortly after they arrived at the residence. They began to torment her as usual. This time, they started to tease her quite aggressively. One of them said, "Hey, tell us what is your secret? What did you do to seduce Eze to the point that he stopped hanging out with us?" "Oh sure," said the other. "Maybe it would be better if you just show us," he added, pulling her dress. Diarra freaked out as he also began to touch her hair forcefully. When she attempted to push him away, they both began to laugh and pushed her in close to them. She felt hopeless. Then, all of a sudden, they heard someone cough. Eze. He stood at the kitchen door, anger in his eyes. He was horrified by what he saw them do and tell Diarra. He punched them both and then immediately asked them to leave his house. "You guys should never come back here. Have you heard me?" he yelled. They were still in shock at what their friend had done and said, "What got into you, dude? How could you hit us like that? I will punch you once more if you ever try to touch my wife again," Eze threatened. This statement caught Diarra and his companions off guard. Perplexed, they immediately left. Eze drew Diarra near to him. He held her in his chest, giving a feeling of security in his embrace, even though she was still shaking from shock at his friend's assault. Around Eze, Diarra began to feel more at ease. She remembered Eze calling her his wife and defending her. She found herself smiling every now and again at the memory of his statement. However, despite his reluctance, Eze started to consider his actions. He had to admit that he was the reason Diarra found herself in this predicament. Nevertheless, she had remained faithful to their marriage in spite of his cruelty from the beginning of their relationship. He had seen her differently because of his possessiveness and jealousy. Despite the unique circumstances of their union, he vowed to honor and defend the lady who was formerly his wife. He felt badly about the pain he had caused her to the point where he let his friends treat her disrespectfully. The realization of that made him feel conflicted and ashamed. Diarra was still finding little moments of happiness in her garden, but her love for Eze was gradually growing due to his random gentle attitude. She held to the belief that things would become better between them, even though he was still occasionally harsh and possessive. One evening, Eze found Diarra tending to her flowers in the garden. In silence, he observed her, taking in the lovely ambience of her tiny refuge. For the first time, he saw her not as someone to control, but as someone who deserved kindness and respect. With a soft voice, he walked up to her and said, "Oh goodness. Are you the one that achieved all of this?" he asked. "Yes." She nervously smiles back at him, touched by his interest in her. Diarra was surprised by Eze's sudden change in attitude. She didn't know how to respond, cautious of his unpredictable behavior. However, Eze persisted, starting small conversations and showing interest in her hobbies. His efforts were strange, but genuine. Slowly, she started to see another side of him. Eze realized his growing feelings for Diarra. Before, he had never allowed himself to care for her, but now he couldn't deny the fact that he fell in love with her. The idea of that made him grin. "Oh God, who could have imagined that I, Eze, the dawn of the city, would fall in love with an ordinary girl," he said to himself. He also understood that his fear of losing her was the source of his possessiveness, an anxious feeling that over time had developed into true devotion. Though gradual, the transformation was true. Eze's change in behavior became more noticeable. He started helping Diarra with chores, apologizing for his past actions. He started making an effort to be a better husband. Diarra, cautious but hopeful, began to respond to his kindness. They spent more time together, talking and sharing moments that were no longer filled with tension. The relationship between Eze and Diarra began to heal. Eze's parents noticed the change and supported their efforts to rebuild their marriage. Diarra's strength and resilience had not gone unnoticed, and Eze's growing affection was becoming evident. Their bond, once forged out of obligation and deceit, was now being rebuilt on trust and mutual respect. They were sitting close to one another and watching a movie one evening when they heard a female voice call Eze in an intimate tone. She sat between them right away, facing him, like though Diarra wasn't even there. "Anna," Eze said, seeming surprised and excited at the same time. Returning the smile, Anna gave him a possessive embrace while looking defiantly at Diarra. Diarra instantly stood there sulking and apologized, saying, "I think I will have to leave you to discuss quietly." Eze attempted to grab her arm, but she quickly turned away from him. She cried as she rushed across the garden and paused to consider what had just happened. "Hold on. What have I done?" She wondered herself. Did I just act like a jealous wife? Oh no. Is it appropriate for me to behave in this manner? It's not like our marriage was based on love. It's because of what Eze did to me, we were compelled to get married. She continued, breaking down in more sobs. She asked herself once more, but why am I feeling this way? Because I am your husband and you have the right to send out anyone you dislike from your matrimonial home. A masculine voice spoke out behind her. "Eze, why are you here?" she asked. "And what about your girlfriend? Where is she?" "Diarra, I no longer have a girlfriend. My wife is the only person I have. I therefore urge that she leave." His smile caught her attention as she raised her head. "What makes this so funny? Why are you smiling?" she asked. "Because I'm pleased with what I found today," he answered. "What exactly?" She wiped tears from her eyes and asked again. "I just found out that we are in love," Eze said, drawing her to him as he moved closer. "We belong to each other. Now, Diarra, tell me you love me. Say it by looking straight into my eyes." He gave an order. He raised her head to ensure that her eyes were fixed on his. "I appreciate you," she spoke timidly. Yes, she said with more assurance. "I love you, Eze." Glad to hear it, he gave her a strong hug and said, "I also love you. Very much. I have loved you from the first evening I laid eyes on you. It was only that I believed I could purchase any woman with my money. I really apologize. You proved me wrong. You are the most gorgeous girl I have ever seen and you are unique." Together, they laughed at his confession. Diarra then fled while asking him to catch her. Under the gorgeous garden decor, they played like kids. Eze held Diarra's hand as they sat in the garden, looking at her with intense admiration. He promised to be a better husband and expressed regret for all the suffering he had caused. He vowed to love and cherish her forever. As she listened to him and saw the honesty in his heart, Diarra declared that she had already forgiven him on the day of their ceremonial marriage. She asked for God to provide them patience, love, and peace in their marriage. She went on to mention that if she had never forgiven him, she would never have been able to pray. A tear of delight ran down Eze's eye as he held her even more, moved by what she said. Their journey was filled with hardship and heartache, but it led them to a place of understanding and love. The unexpected love between Diarra and Eze had finally blossomed, turning their story into one of redemption and hope. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to get more captivating stories on my African Tales channel.